Smack him in the nut lip.
Alright, I'm going to start reading you an article from Time Magazine. Have you heard of Time Magazine? It's Time Online. Huh? Okay, it says, here's how winning the lottery will make you miserable.
I just didn't achieve about that.
You did?
I didn't achieve about that.
Well, do you want to just tell us about it?
The guy got depressed.
Okay, why don't you just tell us about it? Because this is, I love when stuff confirmed. Tell us about it.
Tell us more, Tara.
So I didn't read the article, but from the questions, he couldn't trust anybody because everybody was just asking for money 24/7. And then his wife divorced him because he was such a little
Greedy person.
yeah, mean kid.
Okay.
And then he just got really, really depressed because he couldn't trust anybody in his life anymore.
Okay, why couldn't he trust him?
No.
Well,
What? No.
Alright.
No.
Calm
That's why
yourself.
they're starting to give out like the money instead of like just all at once. They're starting to give it out
No, man, you can't do that. You gotta give my money off.
Okay, well, this article, I'll just summarize since this subject matter is already familiar enough to us. It said 70% of people that win the lottery lose it within a couple years. Like, it's gone. They, like, go through it so fast. And it gave, I think, 4 case studies and then a 5th. Like, 4 where it ruined people's lives. And then the 5th where the person's like, oh, no. I've been rich and I've been poor. I prefer to be rich, okay? But the 4 that it studied first, one woman described everyone as turning into vampires after she won the lottery, like all her loved ones, because all they came for was like to get from her, and she's like, man, I just could not get over how greedy everybody turned into it, and I love these people. Another guy that won a huge lottery, he got robbed of over $500,000 sitting in the parking lot of a strip club. Yeah, okay? And I'm like, okay, and that may have been the same one because he got divorced also. He said that because of the lottery, his daughter became a drug addict, because she had all this monetary at her, disposal. She went to drugs and stuff, and then his granddaughter also ended up dying with an overdose of drugs. But all of it, he would trace back to the money. Okay, it was so powerful to me reading it, though, because many of them were like, I wish I'd been poor. I wish I'd ordered the ticket when I won. Weird.
Really?
Yeah.
I was just not told anybody.
It is. It's interesting. What struck me, though, about it is, like, it obviously happens enough that a whole bunch of money at one time, or just in general, I guess, comes with a power. Okay? It can turn people crazy. Yeah. Like, you can go crazy with money, or those around you can go crazy. And it happens enough that it's like, what? The one guy that was like, oh, I prefer to have the money. He said, all you got to do is you got to have a good financial planner in your life. Somebody telling you what to do with it. Isn't that interesting?
No.
Well, he's retained his money.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was going to say, so he's, got something, some kind of truth. Yeah, see, you, why do you think that's stupid? You don't want anybody telling you what to do. Yes. You don't want anybody telling you what to do, right? That's what most lottery winners are constantly saying to themselves, right? Every time they purchase something. Nobody can tell me no. I can't tell myself no. It's just interesting. Anyway, I just thought it was cool how it tied in with our drawing of your money and power. Yesterday, remember, what could our king, not do with his money?
Couldn't have a bunch of horses.
Okay, he couldn't go purchase a whole bunch of horses. What else?
He can't go back to Egypt.
Okay, he can't go to the most popular, like, world power place to get the war power of horses. What else can he not do with this money? Okay? Can money buy wives?
Yeah.
Right. And it was funny because one of the lottery winners in that article, this guy befriended him after he won.
Can
Which
you
should
read
be
the
like,
article?
morning. Nah, not now. But anyways, this guy befriended him after winning the lottery, which should have been suspicious anyways. But he murdered him to get the money. The friend did. Yeah. I saw
That's not a good
48
friend.
hours on it. I was like, I remember hearing about him.
That's not a very good friend.
Crazy. Anyways, the money can be used to do many different things. But you can definitely have women starting to come around you all of a sudden if you got a whole bunch of money, guys, not just friends, right? That's right. Should we play that? I should just have that as my background song when you guys walk in for this lesson. Anyways, a clean version. Anyways, so he's not supposed to have a bunch of wives and a bunch of war power, and he's not supposed to just accumulate a whole bunch of money. And do you remember what our theme was about each one of those things? How much could he have? What was the little phrase that told us how much he could have? I know we don't know, but there is a key phrase repeated every time. For himself. Okay, and that basically is very true to what you see in those lottery winners that fall out and do awful. They become just all about themselves. They're now free reign to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and life becomes horrible. Okay, so somebody that just orbits everything in their life around themselves is typically miserable. In the dorm, our most selfish kids are the most miserable kids. We tell them all the time, you are the most selfish, and look how unhappy you are. Look how selfish you are. You only think about you. And is it helping you? No. Look at him over there. He's not as selfish. Look, he's happier. What? You're like, hello. So this idea of for himself. Like, God doesn't want his man at the top living like that. Okay? All right, did we do the last paragraph? What he was supposed to do with the Bible? Tell me, review for me for a second. What are you supposed to do with the Bible?
You're supposed to write Genesis to Deuteronomy.
Okay,
His own handwriting.
good. Which is not that long, but it would definitely take you a while as compared to the whole Bible, right? Keep it with him. Remember we talked about all the time having a Bible on you? I don't have my little Bible anymore. Say it one more time. Read it every day, as long as he lives. What does that remind you of? Something we've talked about before in this class. We had a whole unit on it. When we talked about journaling, remember the whole unit was on reading your Bible and praying. Remember? The whole thing. Like, your daily habit of doing that is not a new concept that Ms. Martin just thought up would make you a nicer person. For thousands of years of Israel's history, that was a value that they were like, God told us to do this. In fact, the person that's the most powerful in our land is supposed to do it every day. They're not too busy. They're not above it. They're not strong enough to handle life themselves. They were supposed to spend time. That king was supposed to read his Bible every single day. So that what was the reason behind it? Just so they would be spiritual? Why did God say, like, you gotta do it every single day?
Prevent him from becoming proud.
Okay, there were several things. One of them was pride. Okay, now, proud and what is the rest of it? What does it say?
And acting as if he is above his fellow citizens.
Okay. You ever been around somebody that thought they were better than you? What did they do to show they were better than you?
They told you the
Or
way they
thought
act.
Thought therapy. Yeah. Huh.
The way they act, like, look down on you.
Okay,
That's
so
how you
describe what that looks like.
push it around.
Push you around, literally.
No, they tell you, they treat you like as if you're
Like
under-
stupid.
Yeah, they treat you like a kid.
They treat you like a
Or
a
especially
peer.
with, like new kids, like I've noticed a lot with young kids, like a lot of kids in our adult like try to correct you, and that's so annoying when like a new kid tries to correct me.
Okay, so being like, thinking that they know and you don't, talking down to you. What about anybody else? Had an experience where people treated you like, you know, there's so much. What are the cues that you're like, I'm having this feeling right now that
You can always, most of the time, you can tell by the way they talk to you. It's like by the tone of their voice.
okay.
Most of the time, it's like really smart aleck.
No, right? You don't do it.
Okay, threaten, yes. The think of like a typical dictator that we drew. Do they think they are on the same level as their people or above? Okay, what do they do to show that they think they're above? Like a typical pharaoh, dictator, king. How do they
Enslave
show?
people.
Okay, they would enslave them.
They put people below.
Okay, there's different things where it's like there would be rules about like not touching them, or like you don't sit higher than the king. There's all kinds of different interesting like, oh, they're in a different class above us. But the like for example, if they're gonna go to battle, okay, if you've seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy, anyone? Okay, there's different types of kings in the Lord of the Rings. It's pretty cool to actually, if we were to study the different kings there. Some of them act like they're on the same level as the people that they are ruling over. Some of them treat them like they're trash, like the people that they're ruling over. When they go to battle, what is a pretty easy signifier that a king thinks he's above his soldiers?
He's not battling with them.
Okay, huh?
He gets killed first. Not really. But
No, he wouldn't.
He's not participating.
Okay, very good. It would be like, oh, go fight for me because this person made me mad. Are you gonna come off it? No. You just go. Okay. He wouldn't value their lives. Okay. Now, I bet you never acted like you were better than somebody else. Never once, because you have been very angry that people treat you that way. When you work at Mariah, do you ever treat them like you're better? No?
I do. I play with them. And
Yeah? What if they're really annoying?
show wrestling.
Do you ever start yelling at them, saying they're stupid? Give it some time. It'll probably happen. What about you, Harmony? You ever talk to anybody in the dorm like you're better than them?
Well, not necessarily better, but like definitely the new kids like made them on nerves. Yeah, I did come back. And say
Like, threaten, I will cut you.
well, no,
I'm just joking. That was just a test. I wanted to see the reaction on the faces. Yeah.
It happens in our dorm. Just like,
Oh, right. No, she doesn't.
Mariah kids just the other way around. Like whenever we
They tell you they gonna kiss you.
School was canceled. They're like, "You're a wussy. You're a girl." 'Cause I wouldn't go outside. My hands were already cold. And they're like, "Come outside." I'm like, "I just got done snow and throwing snow at you." Like seriously.
What? It's not easy leading the little
No.
boys? What? Taking care of them?
Rambunctious ADHD.
I'm trying to think. It's funny, isn't it? How, well, I mean, I've watched it lots of times and been guilty of it myself. But in the dorm, the ones that used to be at the bottom, if you give it a couple years, they're all of a sudden more towards the top, okay? And they used to complain so much about the older ones, you know, just like doing all this stuff. And then they are so mean when they get to the top. you know, or towards them. They use their power as quick as they can to be like, oh, I'm better than you. It was just funny. If we really hated it so much, why do we do it? So, you know, why do we do that? Why do we do that? It's weird to think about. What do you think? Why do we do that?
Because having the power, like it does, makes you do stuff that you wouldn't do without it.
It's intoxicating. You want to shove someone's face in the dirt that annoys you. Okay. It just makes you feel good inside. Okay. And you're like, oh, that's why people did it to me. Okay. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying we all end up doing it. There's a big old draw to do it. And God said here that one of the only ways when all the power is at your disposal that you will not do that is if you read your Bible. Okay? He's like, that's one of the few things that's going to keep you from thinking you're above and treating people in trash. Okay? Me and my little kids are my primary example of they just, you know, do things all the time that annoy me and frustrate me. And it's easy for me to be like, okay? But when I am actively reading, God humbles my heart. And he shows me that I'm a sinner just like them. I'm so frustrated at their sin. Like, you are not better in my eyes. You better humble yourself, Miss Martin, with the children. Okay? But if I'm just living with myself as the center of all things and I don't have this, it's like I only become worse of a authority. What are you going to say? Do you have a question?
Yes.
Lucy?
I think your video. That's what they're. He told me to ask you that.
That's fine.
I'm going on a retreat
Yes.
this week.
We just forget it's there. It's cool.
What?
What?
Oh, where's it at? Where's the camera at?
Oh, it's right here.
In front of the screen. Okay, cause, okay, that's good. Oh, so the video is you?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
It's not a video.
I'll forward another video.
I'll turn it now, though. Right upon you. Okay, what else does it say this daily Bible reading will do for this guy? What is another result? Sorry?
Make them learn to feel the Lord.
Okay, he will learn to fear the Lord. Good. And what is the next part linked to that?
Obeying all the terms of instructions.
Okay. All right. Do you guys remember that back there? Our path of obedience. Do you remember that? When we drew that? Okay. When you become a Christian or when you follow God, there are off ramps constantly of temptation. Okay. The part that Lucy just brought up. Okay. Remember we talked about when we drew this. Okay. You have to have your armor on, or those temptations are going to be too strong for you. Okay? And right here we see the same thing, where this king was supposed to read his Bible every day, because the temptation to not follow this is at his step every day. Okay? And it's like, real strong. Okay? Stronger than himself. He needs something supernatural, okay, to give him strength to walk God's path. Okay? The fear of the Lord is an interesting little phrase, too, because, let's see, I bet, here's what I've never met your dad, but I bet you fear your dad. Do you fear your dad? But you love your dad.
I'm not scared of what he'll do to me, but I'm not scared of my dad.
Okay. Would you be afraid to tell him that you had done something awful? No. Not at all. You wouldn't have any trembliness in your stomach before telling him.
Why did you kill Parker?
I mean, if something passes here, yeah.
The
And not necessarily Montana.
Okay, now it's funny because love and fear together is different than just being scared. Okay, I remember I had this teacher one time that I was scared of. I didn't fear her; I was scared of her. Okay, she was my typing teacher when I was in second grade. It's weird. She was really screamy. She just all the time, and I would be like, and my hands would shake when I was trying to learn to type. And she was really grumpy, mean all the time. She'd just yell or be like, I was scared of her, okay, but I wouldn't say I feared her in the Bible-y way of fear, okay. Now, I feared my parents, and you guys met my dad. He's the most wonderful, loving man. But I feared stepping off the path. Not because necessarily I was afraid he was going to, beat me when I got home or something. But I feared what? What do you think?
Disappointing.
Okay, disappointing or just, it's even hurting him. Okay, that love and fear together. When I was littler, I did fear spankings, okay? That was a good healthy thing. I watch it in my children as well. Okay, sometimes the pain of a spanking is I don't want to hit my sister in the face because the spanking will hurt, so it's a good thing. But having that love and almost like a trembleness to just blatantly disregard. And I think that's maybe a better way to phrase it. If you were to blatantly disregard your daddy's role, would you be afraid? Yeah. And the how you get fear of the Lord in your life and how this king would get that is reading the Bible every day, okay? When you don't read the Bible every day, the only thing that screams in your face is fear of you, fear of you, fear of you, fear of you, fear of what's out there, fear of whatever. You only do what you see, okay? But the Lord is a reality that we must be reminded of if we're going to fear him and follow him. But it's a fear that includes love, okay? Okay, I think there is one more consequence. If he was supposed to, if he read his Bible every day, what is one more thing that would happen in his life? Good. Okay, he would have a dynasty. Okay, and he would reign a long time himself. Okay, now I meet a lot of people at French camp that are very passionate about wanting their family to be different than what they had. I remember a boy I had in my house. We had pulled up in front of the Hoskets, and they had our whole dorm out for supper. Okay, and they just built their new house out there, so it was several years back. And we had taken 2 cars, and so I had a bunch of boys in my car, and Mr. Martin had another group. And before we got out, one of my boys looked at the Hoskins house, and he was like, I wish I had a family like the Hoskins have. Okay? And this boy came from immense destruction, okay? Immense. It was as bad as I've heard at French camp, okay? And I just, felt for him. We sat there for a second, and I was like, you know what? You can build a family like that. Okay? You may not be able to change what you got, but you can build one like that. here we see God speaking into what this king could do for his family. Okay? It wasn't what you would think. It wasn't, hey, get all up in your children's lives and control every aspect of what they are. That way they'll turn out well. Okay? Or some pharaohs to ensure, their dynasties or whatever. They murder everybody that's they think would be in competition with their children or whatever. It's not doing those kind of things. He simply says in this passage, if you want your children to be great and to reign and to have this awesome dynasty experience, read your Bible. Isn't that crazy? That one habit wasn't just affecting him. It was also affecting his son, his grandson, and his great-grandson. Every day. It's so weird to me thinking about dying, with Miss Ward and different other ones. Once I die, I can no longer speak into my children's lives at all. I can no longer control them at all. Who is still there when I die to speak into my children's lives? Besides, if Mr. Martin, if he died too. Huh? The Lord spans generations. He can honor the king's reading today in his son's life and in his grandson's life. He can follow it based off of what their great-granddaddy did. Isn't that crazy? Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, now I'm gonna, where it says, read the Bible daily, have it with you, all that. Where it says why, I want you to summarize those 3 little reasons we said. It would make him humble. It would keep him fearing the Lord. And he would have a dynasty. Okay, a dynasty. Okay, now normally we draw this, but we don't have time because of the sense, so I'm just giving you the cartoon. So this just goes right with it. It's like what we would have drawn on the back, but we're going to do a fax version. Let's look at it together so my cartoon makes sense. Okay. Doesn't it say, where it talks about pride? Okay. Fellow citizens. Pretty sure in the ESV. I can't remember. Anyway, one of the things about pride, it had talked about not thinking he was above his people, but I think one of the versions I read it talked about thinking he was above his brothers. Okay, so I think that's why I read it like this in his little people section. Let's look through all these little elements real quick, because you're going to have a quiz on this next week. Not Monday, but you're going to have a quiz on this content because it's really important. Okay, so here the king is in the middle. What does he have in his hand? He has 2 hands. What does he have?
A sword.
Okay, he's got a sword, and what else? A scroll, which would have been their version of. Right, very good. That he has done what? What has he done here? He wrote it himself. Okay, I should have drawn a cool big old robe on him. Feel free. You can add it with a big pocket. Okay, that he would keep his scroll in. But anyways, he has it with him. Okay, I want you to take your pencil or your pen on the scroll. I want you to add an anchor drawing, okay? You know how to draw an anchor, right? Like a little circle at the top, goes down, got the little, like a ship anchor. Okay? Right on the scroll, yes. Just draw it right there to symbolize him reading the Bible. How would it anchor him? what would it keep him from running after? What are the do nots that it would keep him from running after? Women, money, power. Good. Or you could use all W's. Women, wealth, more power. How about that? Fancy, fancy. Okay. So his anchor is real important. Have you guys ever been to the beach and you're swimming? You turn around, like it happened. I mean, I know you've had this experience if you've at all swam in the ocean. You turn around after a little while and you're like, oh my word, somebody stole my stuff. My stuff is not there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sort of. You realize, oh, wait. No, somebody didn't steal my stuff. What happened?
You got pushed by the waves.
Okay, got pushed by the waves where?
That's inside.
Good, yeah, you get pulled down by the current, right? Do you feel it happening while you're making it? No. Okay. The money, power, and women, those things, relationship, greed, using your power to like make other people's lives miserable and your own better. Okay, those things are intoxicating. They are too strong for Harrison and Miss Martin and Zach and Hannah. They are too strong. Okay, we will gravitate to one of them. Okay, and that's where we will orbit our lives. Unless we have an anchor, okay? Like if you're at the beach, how do you keep like in the same spot out in the water? How do you do that?
Anchor.
Okay, yeah, you could literally have an anchor, but if you're swimming, what do you typically do to keep yourself in the same spot?
You hold on to something.
Okay, you do have to go against the current, but how do you make sure you stay?
You just stand there.
Okay, you can stand.
Tread water?
How else? If you tread water, you're gonna float.
That's tired.
You just sink to the bottom.
Sink to the bottom.
You don't stand there.
Okay, so you have to keep on looking back, right? Every once in a while to make sure. Oh, gotta go back a little bit, right? You have to just keep checking to see where you're at. Okay, if you don't ever look at your anchor, like your point of reference, okay. Who knows? You'll just go on down. You won't even feel it. Get pulled out by the side, and the shark will get you. Just wanted to catastrophize it for a second. Okay. So, the king has a heart. Okay. There's like this is in his heart. Okay. There's three things. He's walking in obedience. He's humble, and he fears the Lord. All of that is produced by what? Reading the Bible. Okay? Now remember, when we read the Bible, from when we talked all about our time with God, it's not just, check, I did it. You're interacting with God's voice. Okay? So his very voice is creating this relationship that fosters this character inside this king. Okay? So, here's this lady. What does it say about her? What does it say? Pointed him towards the Lord. I don't remember reading that in our passage. What did it say about the women?
They pull his heart away from him.
Oh, they pull his heart away from the Lord. What? How would the women pull his heart away from the Lord?
I don't know. He lusts more towards women. Like.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's like this insatiable hunger for more and more women. Okay? Now, if he's reading the Bible, first 5 books of the Bible, he's going to hit Genesis 1 and 2. Very first. What does it say about being married in Genesis 1 and 2? Adam had Eve, right? And it was very good. He's smart. Cool. Okay, God loves being married. He created sex. It's supposed to be a good gift. God's not opposed to that. And the right woman that loves God too, she's going to point him towards God, not pull his heart away from God. Okay? When that's in the right priority level, okay, it would be a blessing to him. Okay, now, you see down here with his children, what does it say? Dynasty. Okay, he would have a dynasty where his kids would reign after him, and those kids would reign after them, on and on. Okay, now you can see there's these little equations with money, with horses, and with relationships. Okay, what is it? Can you tell what I've got going on there? It says blank number of dollars plus the Lord equals rich. This is that question I brought up before. How much can he have? How many dollars can he have? Is he going to be poor? I mean, is that like the idea? He needs to just be poor. Is that going to be like the spiritual version?
Maybe.
It shouldn't be selfish.
You should be. I'm trying to convince you. Okay! Very good. Okay. It's all about the main principle. Okay? God didn't give a number, he gave a principle. Okay? He's like, are you using it? The monster. Okay? Or are you serving the people around you? Okay? Now, think for just a real quick example. Like, if he had a really nasty looking house, okay, instead of like good looking palace, would that serve his people?
No.
What if like other countries come to visit?
Too bad.
Is that gonna be like,
Kill them all, my God.
you know, exactly, it's gonna be embarrassing. Okay, there's a certain level of no, you're the king. We want you to be like living in something that looks good, and because you're our king, like we want you to. Does that make sense? But it's not because he wants to roll up and be like, I'm showing you guys how rich and awesome I am. Okay, that would be all for himself. Okay, so we don't know. Okay, there's the blank on purpose because it's not really so much like what specific amount can he have, but do you have the Lord also? Okay, the king. If he has the Lord, if you think about it, he's wealthy no matter what, he's safe no matter what, and he's loved no matter what. No matter what's in his bank account, no matter how many horses are in the stall, and no matter how his lady's doing that day. Okay? What we talked about, how the people that when they live for themselves, they can never have enough. This guy, he's good. He can be content because his ultimate love isn't in trying to get as many experiences sexually as he can. Or his ultimate treasure isn't amassing this huge bank account where he can do whatever he wants. Or his ultimate safety isn't, oh, I've got everything locked down so nobody can talk about me. His ultimate security, love, is in the Lord. Okay? Now, this is interesting. God isn't being mean to this guy, making his life miserable versus other kings that would live however they wanted. God is helping this guy live in reality. You see my God symbol up here? What's on top of the God symbol?
All a bunch of crowns.
A whole bunch of crowns. In Psalm 2, talks about a whole bunch of kings gathering together. And they're like, you know what? We're tired of the Lord. Let's just live how we want. And in Psalm 2, it says, the Lord sits in heaven and laughs. He's like, they don't even know what's coming for them. Okay? If you fast forward to Daniel, okay, it talks about the Ancient of Days which is a name for God, because he's been there at the first day and he'll be there at the last. Okay? Where he comes and he sits on his throne that's like fire. Okay? You fast forward way down the line to Revelation 19. And Jesus is on his white horse with many crowns on his head. His eyes are like fire looking at his people with a boss army behind him that comes to destroy the world. Or all the people that are against him. Okay? This king lives in accordance with reality. The real king of the universe should be lived rightly in front of. Okay? This guy, he's just the little king. He knows he's just the little king. He's just, remember, God picked him. He didn't do anything, all this big, muscly stuff to get the position. God was like, okay. And so he's just like, me? I'm just one of the guys. Like, what? Okay. Now, let's talk about you for a second. Because we're going to study lots of kings. And it should be like a mirror in front of you. Okay? All of these things, you are going to just put harmony right here in the middle of this circle. Okay? Instead of this guy. And instead of the lake. Okay? This is like a little microcosm of what is in front of you and me when we try and do our life successfully or be a leader. Okay? I've talked about how these powers are so strong. Okay? It is so easy in the dorm to turn people against other people. It's so easy because you want the power. Okay? It's easy to be consumed by relationships when you're walking up and down the hall. Okay? It's like, the power! You know what I'm saying? It is just powerful. It's in your face. It is easy to be consumed by, yes, I got more money. That means I can purchase this item, and this item, and this item. And that will make me happy. And that'll be for me. And let me go get some more money to make me happy. Me. It is so strong. You are not strong enough to fight it by yourself. And I am not. That is one of the reasons why when I am just like, like in a bad place, I want to open my Bible. Because it is like, help me. Okay? Everything is too strong. Okay? I'm forgetting about the Lord, and all I can feel are these like real strong temptations or real strong pulls to these other things. To have your life orbit around the Lord, the real King of Heaven, you must read your Bible daily. You can do it. Okay? It'll make you awesome. Because you know the one that's so awesome. He'll rub off on you. Okay? It's hard to even imagine how God can take your future family and make it so different and so amazing if you just make that choice. Okay? This guy is a prototype. Okay? We're going to be real frustrated because when we study through some kings, we're going to be like, okay, his downfall was money. Okay, his downfall was the women. Okay, and we're going to be like, isn't there a king that's going to do what this says? Can you think of a king that did this? I'm sorry? Okay, let's... Did he? Did Jesus have a wife?
Yes, the church. Robert.
Jesus does have a wife. Did Jesus know the Bible? Think about it every day?
He is the one.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Did Jesus consider himself better than his buddies? What did he do to show that he was
Hung out with
He
family.
washed their feet. What about, did Jesus amass tons of money for himself?
No, he was.
Okay. Did Jesus, let's see, try and grasp all the power for himself? To rub other people's faces down in the dirt? What did he do? Sit. No. What did he do with his power?
They shared it.
Okay, he did share it. That's true. He
He used
also,
it for the
okay, he did. Remember, he went around protecting those that were needy or healing them or whatnot. But if you look through this, man, Christ, when it says, it's so ironic when Pilate nails that sign on Jesus' cross, King of the Jews. Okay, because Jesus really was the best king of Israel. We talked about David. David was second best. Okay, but we'll talk about where he falls in some of this. Jesus is the son of David, and he is the one that has fulfilled this perfectly. And you get to walk with the perfect king every day if you choose. Not like, oh, I remember him and he inspires me. No, like his presence can walk with you. Okay? So if you feel like, oh man, I don't think I can read my Bible every day, Jesus can help you. Okay? He wants to transform you into a servant leader like himself. Okay? Through his word.